Hello everybody. Well, we're moving very close to Christmas and I've been asked to tell a story. I live in England, in Devon in England. I've moved here recently and I want to share a Duncan Williamson story with you. It was Christmas Eve. The snow lay thick across the bare land, almost making like a wedding cake of snow on the trees in the distance and all across the land. And in this field was a scarecrow. He was just kind of hung there with raggedy-taggedy clothes on and a Auntie Somebody's hat and a carrot for a nose and a sack for a face. And he'd been hanging there all winter in the cold. And he didn't like it. In the summer, he had lots of birds to shoo away from the crops. So they always kept him company, and there would always be badger or fox or somebody passing by on a regular basis. But as winter comes on more and more, there's less to see. And he was all alone, bored and feeling a little bit sad. Now, there was one friend that he had, Hare. And Hare knew that Scarecrow wouldn't see many people, so Hare thought he'd just hop over and go and speak with Scarecrow. And he just started a conversation with Scarecrow, and Scarecrow said, "It's so good to see you, Hare. I've been so lonely for days, no one to talk to, no birds to shoo off. It's so lovely that you've come to see me." And they were chatting away about this, about that. There was a wood not far away, and out of the wood came a little woodland fairy. And she came skipping across the snow right up to Scarecrow and Hare. And she looked at Scarecrow and she said, "You seem so lonely, Scarecrow, stuck out here all alone. I've been watching you." "I am," he said. "I get so very lonely, so bored, and sometimes I feel a little sad too." And the fairy looked it up in and said, "If you could have one wish, what would it be?" And he looked down and he said, "Oh, if I had one wish, I know exactly what it would be. I would love to spend Christmas Eve with a family in their house." "So be it," she said. And with a suddenly he felt human, and he jumped off his perch that was kind of holding him up, his piece of wood that was holding him up, and he felt his body, and he could feel that, well, there was some more substance there. There wasn't just newspapers and bits of straw anymore. And he kind of danced around a little bit, and he said, "Oh, this is wonderful." He said, I feel almost human." And he was just about to go running off across to the farm, and the fairy said, Whoa, Scarecrow, wait a minute." She said, "Wait a minute. This is fairy magic. Whatever happens is you mustn't speak to the humans. But if you do, the enchantment, well, it won't work so much." "Oh, I can hold my tongue," he said. "I can hold my tongue. I'll be fine." She said, "Mind you do. Mind you." He said, I will. Well, off Scarecrow went. For in fact, it was Christmas Eve itself. And he went across the fields and across the fields. And the time he got there, well, you know, this time of the year in the UK, well, the dark comes on very early, sort of late afternoon, early evening. It's dark very quickly. But the time he got to the farmer's house, it was dark. And there was the house, and there was a bench to sit on outside, and he sat on the bench, looking up in the night sky, for it was a cold, crisp evening. And the stars were twinkling like they do in the middle of winter. And Jack Frost was about. And Jack Frost, he nipped the toes and the nose and the fingers of Scarecrow. "Oh, it's a bit cold," thought Scarecrow. And then he listened, and he heard from the house singing. And then he heard laughter, and there was music. There was a family inside, and inside the house, well, the farmer had picked up his fiddle and he was playing a tune. And mum and son and daughter were dancing with her round and round and round. They went to father's jigs that father's played, and they were laughing, and then they would sing a song. They had so much fun. And Scarecrow sat there, oh, if only I could go inside and be part of the family for Christmas Eve. I've never had a family. I would love to spend Christmas Eve with a family like this. And he sat there waiting. Well, father had played a few reels, so he put down his fiddle and he said, I'm just going to go have a puff on my pipe, children, and just have a break for a moment and just see what the sky is bringing us tonight, see what the weather is. Father went to the front door. He put a little bit of tobacco in his pipe, opened the door, stepped outside, closed the door, lit his pipe, and he looked at the sky. Oh, it's a beautiful evening. Oh. And as he turned, he saw Scarecrow sitting on the bench. Whoa, good heavens alive, you scared me, Scarecrow. Oh, I bet those children, I bet the local village children have brought you over here to play a trick on me. He said, oh, those children get up to such little mischief, dear, oh dear, oh dear. And the farmer, well, he found himself talking to the Scarecrow. He had no idea that the Scarecrow could hear everything that he was saying. Well, the children inside could hear their father talking to somebody. And they went to the door and they wondered who it was on Christmas Eve who could be calling. And they went outside and they said, Father, who are you talking to? And he said, oh, silly old me, children. He said, I was talking to the Scarecrow. Look, the children have brought him over from the fields and they plonked him on our bench outside. Bring him in, Daddy. Bring him in. Oh, no. He's a raggedy, taggedy, dirty Scarecrow. Oh, Daddy, please. You can't leave him outside, Daddy, on a cold night like this. Please, Daddy, bring Scarecrow in. Oh, all right, he said, it is Christmas Eve after all. And he picked Scarecrow up and he brought him into the house. And he sat him on a dining chair up against the wall. He picked up his violin once again and he began to play. And the children and mother, they were hand in hand and they were dancing around to this wonderful jig that father was playing. Well, Scarecrow, he began to slap his knees and he began to jig to the music. And before he knew it, Scarecrow was up. And he took a hand of the little boy and he took the hand of the little girl and he joined in and they began to dance around in a circle as father played. And they went round and round and round and they began to laugh. They were having so much fun and Scarecrow had a big smile on his face and he was dancing away with the children and mother and they were having such a lovely time. Father played a slow reel and they were just dancing very slowly. Then they played another fast reel. They went round and round and round and round and round and round. And when the reel ended, Scarecrow said, oh, heavens, that's the best fun I've ever had. But, oh dear, he had spoken. And he just crumpled to the floor. And he looked no more than a bundle of rags. A bit like some parents find when their children come home from school. There are some children, they just take all their school uniform off and it looked like a bundle of rags. Well, it looked a bit like that. But children, I'm sure you're not like that. But anyway, he looked like a bundle of rags and he was now just newspaper and straw once again. Oh dear, poor Scarecrow. And father picked him up and he put him back on the chair and he picked up his fiddle and he began to play again. Well, Scarecrow could no longer join in and dance, and he couldn't speak anymore, but he could still hear and see. And the music carried on, and the singing carried on, and the laughter carried on, and Scarecrow still had a wonderful evening. Well, time moved on. It was getting late, and as you know, children, Christmas Eve, there's one thing that you have to do. Yes, I know you put the something out for the reindeer, yes, and perhaps you put something out for Father Christmas, yes, but there's something else that you need to do, children, and I wonder if you can remember what it is. It's very hard to do. It's you have to go to sleep. Otherwise Father Christmas won't come. Well, it was time for the children to go to sleep. And they were just about to go up the stairs and they said, "What are you going to do with Scarecrow, Daddy?" "Oh, I'll put him back out in the field." "Oh no, Daddy, you can't do that. He'll get cold. Oh, please, Daddy, keep him somewhere warm. You could put him in the barn. There's not much in there apart from the cows." "All right," he said. "Well, you go up the stairs, up the apples and pears, and you watch me from the window and I'll take Scarecrow across." So the children scrambled up and got dressed and they got their pyjamas on and they were looking out the window, kind of, to see what Daddy was doing. And Dad got the Scarecrow and he walked across the yard with Scarecrow and he went into the barn and there was a nice big pile of hay. And there was Daisy and Maisie, the two cows, and he laid Scarecrow down. And the farmer found himself talking to the to the Scarecrow again. He said, "Oh, there's some cows to keep you company, Scarecrow. There's a lovely fine bed for all the winter." He said, "And I'll tell you what," he said, "I won't put you out until spring comes, until it's warmer, and I'll put you back out in the field so you can shoo away the birds. And I promise next Christmas Eve, I'll bring you in the house again and you can listen to the music and share our food and you can have a wonderful time and you can stay in the barn next year too." And with that, the farmer left the barn and closed the barn door and walked back to the house. Had Father, the farmer, stopped and looked in that tiny window in the door, if he'd have looked in, he would have seen a Scarecrow laying there with the biggest smile that you ever did see. And that's the story of Scarecrow and Hare on Christmas Eve. Well, snip, snap, snout, my story is out. And I hope wherever you are, if you celebrate Christmas, that you have a wonderful time. I wish you all the best. I've been Shane Ibbs, storyteller from England. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.